Unleashed podcast.
Hello, and welcome to this podcast of Unlocked and Unleashed, where we believe in unlocking your spiritual gifts, your spirituality, your finances, and just relationship keys. And here on set, we have in the flesh none other than Pastor Hill of Church of Blaze. How are you, Pastor Hill?
Doing real good.
That's
real
good. That's good. We're so happy to have you again.
Yeah.
This is somebody who I consider a family expert. This is somebody I consider a family expert, and the reason why is I've been able to be up and close in his life and on a personal level, and I've seen him raise, and he's still raising. How many kids?
Six.
Six.
You gotta get that right. I think I need to text you every day. I have 6 kids.
You know what?
Six.
But I normally get it wrong.
You
And so
do.
instead of me getting it wrong, it's better just ask the question.
Yeah,
You know, if
okay.
you don't know, if you ain't for sure, because I normally want to give you at least 7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You giving me 8 before.
8, see, number new beginning. You deserve a new beginning. You deserve a new beginning. So,
Yeah.
in our last episode that me and you had, we were talking about different issues dealing with the man and not bringing doggy back home,
Oh yes.
And,
yes. Bringing home leftovers.
bringing home leftovers, and
Right.
making sure that you have even a marker even on your way home to saying
right.
it's time to decompress.
That's right. Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
and so-
definitely. Yeah, with those leftovers, sometimes we're bringing emotional leftovers and
Yeah.
communicative, if that is the right word, ability to communicate and converse. We spend all day at work or talking to our coworkers, or you're running your own business, talking to different clients, and you talk, and you come home and just silent. Those are areas of leftovers that we do. And then, relationally, when you're connected in a father-son, father-daughter, husband-wife type relationship, they need full course meals. They need steak,
No, that's right.
baked potato, they
Get
need
that full
vegetables,
course
they
meal.
need all the nutrients. They need a colorful plate. And it takes strength for a man to make sure he's bringing a full meal home. So you have to revive yourself and encourage yourself to say, okay, I got to do this for this next couple hours and fully engage with my family and be connected emotionally, spiritually and relationally. And then, also physically, because, some of us work demanding jobs that are physicals. A lot of people is mental.
Yeah.
Or, our jobs are probably a lot of mental.
Oh yeah.
Decisions all day long.
All the time.
Just like your phone just rang.
Yeah.
So we have decision fatigue sometimes.
Man.
Sometimes we want to come home and leave everything to our wives.
Ain't that it?
We do sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
Yeah.
One time I got chastised, even myself, every time I got together with one of my friends. My wife would end up being the one disciplining and correcting my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm always surrounding myself with good men that know my poop stinks. You know what I'm saying? They know my headlines as well as my small print. So
Yeah.
we give each other permission to be able to check each other up. And
That's important though.
he checked me up. He said, Jonathan, I noticed how your wife is one to correcting a lot. Now, I correct mostly at home, but when it got in public, I had a tendency to want to relax, let her handle it. So, that balance was something good for me. I still got to give myself physically, be willing to take the physical effort to get up off the couch, do things, correct things that need to be corrected, or engage with our kids and still play. So that's what I meant by leftovers. So just to clarify that a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's good clarification. I think on today, there's several different topics running around my head, but I guess the umbrella would be, I guess one question I want to ask you, and maybe this would be a blessing to the viewers, is I want to ask you this question. What do you do if you are in a relationship with somebody and you're very passionate about what you do?
Mm-hmm.
You're very passionate about the goals you have.
Right.
You're very passionate about the dreams you have, but they not as passionate. And because they lack that passion, you don't feel supported by them.
Right.
What do you say to that person who may be watching and says, I just don't feel that supported. Maybe I don't feel that supported as we raise kids.
Right.
We're not on the same page on that. I may not feel supported in whatever I'm pursuing. I just don't feel my spouse's support.
Right.
What do you say to that person out there?
Yeah, that's it's tough to be able to address that without dealing with the actual issue. But to that person that is not feeling supported, the first thing I would tell them to do is make sure that they have communicated you know, in a peaceful manner, you know, what their heart is. It's being assertive. It's just something we try to teach couples, is you have to be assertive. And, you know, sometimes that word assertive, people say, ooh, you know, people rising up on you. And, you know, that's not the assertiveness. It's actually expressing your heart and your desires. Because some people resign to begin to tease, joke, complain, murmur, do all types of things except just letting them know, I would like to have a little bit more support. So that's the first thing I would advise them, is to make sure that you're, you know, communicating what you desire for them. And then the other thing is, some people have passions that the other doesn't have any passion for at all. You know, it's just not a passion. Like when we first got married, I don't like to shop. I know you're a fine dresser and stuff, so you probably
I don't like
do.
to shop either.
Okay, well, we're in the same boat there. But early on, my wife would want to go to the mall, but she was wanting to go to the mall as a way of connecting and browsing around the store. I would rather go there and just sit, you know, on the bench, let her walk around the mall all she wants, and then get up and leave with her. Well, I had to try to submit my will to what she was desiring, you know, for me to do. So, you know, so that person that's not really knowing, not really feeling supported, I would just make sure that they are communicating to that person, this is how you can support me. Because sometimes it's not in their psyche or mental capacity to know how they really want to support. It's just, support me, support me, support me. You know, attend one of my events. You know, ask what I'm dreaming about. And sometimes you have to just communicate that to your spouse, if it's your spouse, you know, exactly how, you know, they can support you.
So Pastor Hill, do you think it's realistic for us to expect a man, or how likely do you think it is for a man to say, I want you to ask me what I'm dreaming about? Do you think that puts a man at a kind of a vulnerable place that he don't want to be at when he says, I want you to ask? Or and then I think the second part to it is, do you think that sometimes people just feel like, no, I'm not going to listen to you, Pastor Hill, because they should know how to support me. Right. It's common sense.
Yeah. And to that man, since you asked me to talk to a man, I would say that's a prideful man.
So you said that would be a prideful man, is somebody who is pretty much not willing to even share what would make them feel supported.
Yeah, it is, because it takes vulnerability to express a need to your spouse, because you're exposing, hey, this is something that I really need, no matter what way you disguise it. So I would ask that man to just, you know, humble himself enough to be able to express, this is what I need. And a lot of times with a female especially, you can express the thing, this is what I need, but then also on the backside of that, also express how it will make you feel if you receive.
That's good.
You know, so if it's like, you know, I have all these events, I would love for you to attend these events sometime. If you did, it'd make me feel like a superhero. I mean, whatever it is, and that connection there relates a lot. I know it works with my wife, Lisa, because it gives her an emotional connection to what I'm saying, more than just a mandate that I'm trying to give her.
And that's so important, especially when thinking about the umbrella subject of what are some of the things that are weakening families. I would definitely believe that one of the big things that's weakening families is that not feeling supported. Because when I don't feel support within my family, I'm going to look for, and I'm going to be attached to and be attracted to people who give me support, you know?
That's right.
And I think sometimes we got to remember, nobody runs from support.
Right.
You can run to it.
I'm telling you. I mean, if I spoke to wives for a moment, oh my goodness, if they could be their husband's biggest cheerleader, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But you're talking about this issue of the man, if they could be his biggest cheerleader, cheer him on. You know, there was a young couple we were mentoring. You know, he was young, didn't know how to father, didn't know how to do a lot of things, and it frustrated her. And she just would nag and nag and nag and nag. Why don't you do this? Why? Compare him to other people in the church, and it just was eroding him. And I said, you know, he's already thinking those negative thoughts. So why not? Don't be the devil's mouthpiece and begin to amplify what the enemy thinks about your husband. Instead, do the opposite and really encourage, because I don't know about you, but I am a words of affirmation guy. I don't know.
I am too.
Yeah. So we
top love language.
I love it. I mean, just words of encouragement. I keep notes people give me. I have a file for it.
I keep notes too.
We're the same.
Yeah.
So if you're married to one of those, whether it's a male or a female, you can go far.
For cheap.
That's right.
Well, very, very
I'm
cheap.
telling you, so by encouraging. So yeah, families, you're talking about families being together and stuff like that. Once you realize there's a high level of love that your husband or maybe your spouse, your wife needs, and you supply that every time.
Yeah.
You.
And one way that I define family, Pastor Hill, is one of the way, I guess, a synonym that I think of is support.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if everybody defines family in that same way. If I had to put a definition there, it's about support, and it don't necessarily mean you got the same blood running through my veins. If you support me and I support you, you know what I mean? To me, we family.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And so I really want you to I want you kind of turn the table a little bit. And what does somebody do when they're in a relationship with someone who doesn't feel financial support from that person? Like maybe they don't feel like they feel like they holding the weight, the primary weight by themselves.
Right.
What do you say to that couple?
So you got one spouse that's doing all the working, and maybe the other spouse is not working at all,
and making excuses as to why they can't, just giving a whole bunch of excuses. How does a couple, a married couple in particular, how do they deal with an issue like that?
Well, I mean, in some cases that I've seen, now here's an extreme case.
Okay.
This young man stayed home. She went to work. He stayed home. He played video games all day. She came home. She cooked. And again, he was still playing his video games. She came home. She dealt with the kids. And again, he was still playing, video games. And of course, she was bush tired and went to bed. And he expected his due benevolence. and she did that also. Well, eventually, they're not together anymore.
I'm about to say.
So
they don't make them kind of women.
What I'm saying is, when there's a huge disparity, I really speak to the other person. You really got to buck up and carry your own weight, carry your own burden. But then for that other spouse, it's important to not over enable that other spouse, because you have to do a certain degree so the ship don't sink.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You gotta work enough, to keep OG&E and ONG and your mortgage payment paid and things like that. But don't even if it causes you to do less, don't over enable that other person, because one of the biggest things that can help them is pain.
Ooh.
Now, I'm not trying to say you inflict pain or you punch them and you hit them and things like that, but that person, especially if they're slothful, lethargic, lazy, or maybe they have a lack of knowledge on really how to move forward, then that person, number one, create an environment where it's not extremely comfortable for them, and that's what you really have to do, because they need to feel that in order to get moving. And then the second thing is try to get them around other people, because your voice will become a voice of nagging, whether it's a man or a woman. But get them around other people that can begin to, because it's obvious, everybody's going to see it, but your true friends are going to be able to say something about it. And they can also speak to him or her and come alongside him or her and give them some guidance to begin to work, begin to get a job, or begin to carry their weight. But you said financially, right?
Right.
Yeah, carry their weight financially. Because I don't think the man or the woman, whether either one is at home, I don't think anybody should be lazy. It's not an excuse to be lazy.
Pastor, you said something that's very, very powerful, and I want you to unpack it a little bit more. All right? So you said that one way that you can do it is by allowing pain to come. You don't want to enable them and make it too comfortable.
Right.
Because then they won't have no motivation or inspiration to work, right?
That's right.
So my thing is, can you give us some practical ways in which you can make it uncomfortable? But not letting the ship sink, like you said, right?
Right.
because you don't want to come home and your kids ain't got no electricity. Right. But what are some practical ways, because this is a common issue that you deal with as a pastor. You know what I mean? I've dealt with this issue multiple times. It's not, this is a common issue you see. You know what I mean? And what you said hit me so strong, because that's important. Because sometimes what one person does is they got cable in there still. They got all the accoutrements, that extra stuff that they don't need. You know what I mean? And so the other person, they don't feel no kind of push to work. And so what are some?
Well, I mean, practical things. There was one spouse that she let the lights go out, and he wasn't feeling any motivation to do anything, and she was out working, so she literally let that was gonna be her own uncomfort.
Yeah.
Uncomfort to everybody else in the house.
Okay.
And the natural tendency, whether it's the male or the female, there's the one that may be lacking. The natural tendency is, well, he'll take care of it. She'll take care of it. And if you really hold back and force them to have to take care of it, there's something we need to do. I'm not going to take care of this. I don't know what we need to do. We'll just go without our lights for a few days. Now that's not fun to do.
It's not.
But could it stimulate something in him or her to begin to take initiative, and you remove some of that enabling and get them to initiate on their own? And it's possible, especially when you continue to do that in different realms. So I guess I'm saying holding back on some things long enough that it might even cause you a little bit of pain and discomfort.
Okay.
But the end of the matter may produce the lessons that God wants to teach them. Because a lot of times the other spouse, it gets in the way of God's chastisement. And if God is wanting to spank us as children, He loves us. Mm-hmm. And you discipline those who you love, and a lot of other spouses will jump in the way and take the blows. And there's sometimes when God is wanting to discipline them as a son of God or as a daughter of God.
That's powerful.
And we have to stand out of the way and make sure, always ask yourself this question: am I working with God or against God? Where are you at work in this situation, God, and how can I join you and not work against you? And sometimes it takes your own sacrifice and pain and discomfort in order to allow God to bring them the discipline to awaken their own desires to do what they need to do. That's what I've seen. Have you seen that also?
Well, I've never actually seen that. I've never seen that. I've actually had that conversation with a couple before. Matter of fact, I preached a message on sometimes you may have to let the trash pile up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you keep on taking it out, they never gonna. And sometimes men, especially men, sometimes men move slower on things that need to get done around the house.
You're right.
And if you try to take it upon yourself to get it done, then you never. Responsibility causes mature. It causes us to grow.
Right.
And the less responsibility you have on you, the weaker you're gonna be, especially as a man.
That's right.
And so, I would say, definitely if you got cable, cut that cable off.
Oh yeah, convenience.
Yeah.
Oh, practicals. Yes.
Yeah. I would add that. You don't need cable. You don't need Netflix. You don't need Hulu. If they want that extra stuff, you know what I mean. I was trying to think about something else that's extra.
Well, I mean, all those monthly payments on things. Everything has a subscription associated with it now, from video games to to your streaming sites that you watch. So eliminating those, not paying those things.
Yeah.
I think they are, because I mean, it's our flesh, and our flesh just wants to be at ease and relax.
That's true.
Right.
That's very true.
And if we're talking about believers here,
mm-hmm.
It's an issue of spiritual discipline, and they don't have any discipline in their life, and they need some structure.
Let me ask you this, because the time that I've known you, I've never actually heard you verbalize this though, and so I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
Okay.
But I know the way that your life is structured, so I don't. But it's still gonna be a surprise to me either way you answer. What do you think when it comes to families being weakened? Because that's kind of what we're talking about. Is we already kind of been dealing with support and stuff like that. But do you believe in a marriage? Do you believe it's best for the woman when they're rearing children to stay at home?
Do I believe it's best? The Bible, says that women be good keepers at home. That's a scripture that says that in the Bible. So you don't have to take that as a legislation to say that all women have to be at home. But the design of man going out, being the breadwinner, bringing home the bacon, wife staying home with the kids and stuff like that, it's a good model, but it doesn't have to be that way in order for a marriage to work well. Because I think biblically, the way the roles between a man and a woman are played out, who does what, I believe there's some biblical freedom there.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as what a man and a woman should end up doing. But as far as execution, I believe that, God's word is very clear that if a man doesn't, care for his own, he's worse than an unbeliever. So in the context of Christians, I believe that a man should be taking responsibility to care for and provide for his family. Even the word father also means source and sustainer. So a man should work at being source and sustainer. But when it comes to like women staying at home versus working and things like that, she may have a higher degree of education and be able to earn more money than him. Then I think there should be some things established still for respect purposes, because most men I meet, and I am generalizing, most men I meet, it bothers them, if they're the one that are at home, because I think we're wired to cover, protect, and provide, and when we're not doing that, it makes us feel a little bit less than. But when we're secure in our relationship, and you have a wife that lovingly, submits to your authority and headship and leadership in the home, and you have a period when you're at home and she's out at work, and I've seen marriages work real well like that, it's because the wife supremely respects and honors her husband, and her husband knows that. So he's secure at home, doing all the domestic responsibilities while she comes home and after working.
Okay, Pastor L, I'm about to kick you out of the church. Let me tell you why I'm about to kick you out. Because you just said a very dirty word in church.
Did I?
Yeah.
What did I say?
Submission. Said a very, very dirty
I was like, what did I say?
Very, very, very dirty word. We say S word. You don't say the whole word. That's a very dirty word. You say submission. And so, with that being said, I want you to tell us what does, because there's so many, a lot of people, when they hear that word, it draws some resentment and negative emotions, especially from women.
Yes.
Right? My question to you is, what does godly submission look like? What is that really? What is that supposed to look like? Give us some examples of what healthy submission is supposed to look like, and give us some examples of what unhealthy submission would look like.
Okay. Number one, submission is always given, not taken. So that's one of the things you have to always remember.
Wow, that's powerful.
And when you just do a word search on the word submit in the Bible, in the Old and the New Testament, a lot of times that word submit is coupled with the word themselves. And in any relationship, it could have been two females to a male, female, a man submitting to his employer. Submit themselves, submit themselves, submit themselves. So first of all,
that's
a wife is submitting herself unto her own husband, is what the scripture says. And I'm really talking about biblical marriage here. So that's the construct here, because this does not transpose into the world. It just doesn't. But number one, if you are submitted, number one is submission. So there has to be a mission you're under, number one. So for the man's perspective.
No. Number one is submission is given.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two. Here we go.
Okay, number two. Oh, okay, I'm numbering right. That's your job.
I want to make sure the audience got that, because you hit us with a punch and you kind of went right past it. That is so powerful. Submission is given, not taken.
Not taken.
That is so powerful.
Yeah, that speaks to the man and the woman there.
Yeah, that's powerful.
If anybody's getting into a Christian marriage as a female, and marriage is a difficult relationship. Mm-hmm. So to try to do it on your own is not a good idea. To try to do it God's way is a good idea.
Right.
So the way He ordained it, submitting to His way and His plan, is the best way. And the way He organized authority in the home, with a man being in the head and a wife submitting, it says in all things in the Bible. And my wife and I, we practice that. But the thing is, I've never had to force her to submit.
Man, that's good.
Because on the other side, it's not anything that I can take away from her. she has to willingly give it to me. So in essence, I can encourage submission by the way I act. And I think really, Marquise, it boils down to understanding authority, because you cannot have authority if you're not under authority.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yep. So like me and you as men of God, we have to be submitted. And, I asked my wife the other day, I was like, what makes you, walk in submission to me? She says, number one, because I know you're submitted to God.
Man.
So it brings a wife, and Marquise, you could probably add to this, it brings a wife real security.
Yeah.
When she hears her husband pray.
Yeah.
She sees her husband pray.
Mm-hmm.
She sees her husband seeking God with decisions, right? She sees her husband, reading God's word. So that's modeling, what submission looks like. Because in that essence, out of love and out of respect and honor, my wife lovingly, submits. Now, that's the fuzzy good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the hard things are when we disagree. Because my wife and I, we did premarital counseling. Mm-hmm. We got to the chapter on submission and we're like, we're not gonna have no problem with that. Yay! And we skipped along and I still have the book. Uh-huh. We skipped the chapter. But then when it came to what toilet seat covers we were going to buy, in Target, that was our first argument. And I wanted to buy the cheaper ones that were a little flimsy. She wanted to buy the big, thick, fluffy ones that cost a little bit more.
Yeah, everybody know you cheap. Yeah.
Cheap? I don't know if I'm cheap. At that time, we were on a budget. Things were tight. Wedding money was running out.
Okay.
But that was our first conflict, So my wife said the toughest times for submission is when there's a disagreement. And that's the time when two types of authority was what I was going to share before. There's personal authority and then there's positional authority.
Okay.
Well, positional authority, in our family, the Lord has given me as the head of the household. He's told me that. Just like in the Godhead, there's Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, but then you see Jesus submit to the Father. Okay. He didn't have any problem with it. It's because that's the way the authority is set up. That's the way God ordained it in the Godhead. So that's the way we ordained it in husband and wife marriage relationship. So out of my positional authority, I rarely have to use my positional authority to get my wife to do anything. Because of my personal authority and our relational connection that we have, that is the main way that she follows my lead in those things. Now, when she does disagree, things can get hot. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. Mm-hmm. But the main thing is at the end of the day, I know she trusts my decision because she knows that I trust God. But I think what men on the wrong side, I don't think we're supposed to dominate over our wives and dictate. That means that a man should have enough sureness in himself to be questioned. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. The Bible says wisdom is easily entreated in the book of James. So he can be questioned. He can be inquired. He can be appealed to. So I think a lot of the issues with submission come in during disagreements, and you could be in your mind like, I just want her to be quiet and listen to what I tell you, And then from the other perspective, the man might have said something, and the wife might be like, but he ain't listening to me. He's got to do it my way. So there's a tendency for the wife to want to usurp authority over the man. There's a tendency for the man to want to dominate over, and that's the sin condition. So in our sinful state, those extremes are bad. But when we're following after God, it's a beautiful thing.
And I want you to, I kind of want to unpack a little bit, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that what you're talking about on positional authority and personal authority. So positional authority is if you got a job and you are the supervisor and you tell the employee, I want you to do this, and they say, why? You say, because I'm a supervisor. Because of my position.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it'd be translating that to a marriage is that when your wife may be disagreeing with you, say, no, because I'm the man, it's going to be this way. Because I'm the head. You have to, you're always doing that, right? And then the other one is when you have a relationship with somebody, you actually sit down and tell them, this is why I believe it's the best way. And even if we disagree, at least you understand the why behind it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
At least you understand the why. And I've heard you out. We've heard each other out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's probably a healthy example of what godly submission will look like.
Yeah.
And then I think you gave a lot of examples of what unhealthy, what it would look like, dominating and not wanting listening.
And then manipulating. A female could try to manipulate, her husband to try to get her ways and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then, so manipulate on one side, dominate on the other side. That's where the clash happens.
Yeah.
But when you have two that are submitted to God and God first, it does work. God's way does work for marriage with submission and headship. And it doesn't have to be a dirty word when it's taught right. Mm-hmm. But the world has, in abuse is what has caused the stain, hasn't it?
Yeah, because you find, and even when I'm talking to women about submission, most of the ones who have that regurgitation that's about to come up are the ones who have seen men abuse women.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's never the ones who grew up in a healthy relationship or in a healthy household. They're never the ones who was like, oh my gosh, I'm so against it. Right. It's the ones who themselves have been in abusive relationships, or they grew up, or a combination of both.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think that wraps it up for today. I think there's so many different takeaways. I think, and one thing I want the audience to really remember that he said that's really so important is that, so we start off talking about support and about why support is so important and dealing with support and just really making sure that you ask them or not. I think it would be good to ask, how can I support you better? Right? And then on the flip side of that is making sure that you already have an answer. Right? Or you can just take the initiative to say, hey, it would make me feel supported when you do this. And when you do this, like he said, telling them the feeling that's attached to it when they actually show up and support you.
Right.
And then something else that he said that really is a big takeaway for me is that submission is not taken, it's given.
Right.
Submission is not taken, it's given. Right? And that we as men especially, we got to remember that there's two different types of authority. Positional and personal.
Right.
And personal. And that submission really ain't needed when everything's going hunky-dory. It's needed in times of conflict.
Yeah.
And God set it up so stuff can still get done in times of conflict, so you're not living your life in long pauses. Right. And a lot of times in our relationships, our lives are at pause because we are in so much tension and drama that nothing's getting done. All we're doing is fighting because we don't understand submission, and things still got to get done.
That's right.
The last thing that I hope that you already took away is that, especially if you're a person who you're with someone who is not carrying their weight, that Pastor Hill hit it on the nail to me when he said, you need to make sure you're not making it super comfortable in that house. Because pain, what'd you say about pain?
Yeah, pain can initiate and create some things and can create discomfort to get them moving.
Yeah. And you know the thing I think about, because I grew up in a household where you got whooped. And I remember
we got a lot of common.
Sometimes it's, if I'm standing up, I didn't just, you move. After that, it calls you to jump forward because it's painful. Yeah. And pain got a way of making you jump forward.
It does. You either suffer the pain of the consequences or suffer the pain of regret. One or the other.
Yeah.
So you might as well let the consequences come and suffer that pain instead of always just walking in regret. Allow them to suffer a little pain. You might have to suffer a little with them if you're married.
Yeah.
But the end of the matter could produce something. It might make a man out of him. It might make a woman out of her.
Yeah.
Whichever is the one.
And the important thing about that is sometimes we're only looking at the short term.
That's right.
And we're not looking at the long term.
Because marriage is a definite part. That could be a long time.
Yeah.
It could.
Yeah, definitely could.
So please be patient with me.
Yeah.
God is not through with you yet. Remember that old song? So we got to be patient with each other as we're maturing.
Yeah. And so if you're the person who is always carrying the weight, always bailing them out of every single situation, you just need to be willing to accept that you're going to be doing that for a very, very long time. If you don't allow them to experience that discomfort,
and allow God to intervene and get in. Yeah.
And then when you said sometimes you're stepping in between God's way of really trying to work with them and chastise them and correct them.
Right.
Like that really hit home because not only do I see parents do that. They have adult kids.
Exactly.
And
it's so hard you got to hold back and allow them to go through some of that pain because in that pain is where their growth is.
And I seen parents cripple their kids, grown kids too. I'm not talking about under 18. I'm saying grown, around my age.
Yes.
Crippling these kids.
Right.
And to the point where grown, still not working, still paying. I know parents who are paying bills for their married son at the married house. That just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Why he don't work?
It's a disservice.
You know what I mean? And sometimes you just gotta let their lights get. He gotta learn how to stand on his own 2 feet.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And so
you struck a nerve, didn't you?
You struck a nerve when you said that. When you said that, sometimes you stand away from that growth.
You got to get out of God's way sometimes. Ask him where he's at work and let him do the thing in their heart.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might be seeing them go through some things. It might be difficult, and you have to turn that father instinct, that mother instinct off for a little bit, and let the father do his bidding.
Pastor Hill, one of the things that bothers me a great deal, because I'm just like you, I meet a lot of men, and the thing that bothers me a lot is when I meet a man who's at a certain age. He has the age, right, where he should be performing like a man, but his mentality is lacking in that area. And in every single instance that I've seen so far, I ain't that old, I'm only 34, but every single instance I've seen so far, I was always able to trace an enabler to that. When you every single time, it may be a mother, it may be an auntie,
right,
it may be or a girlfriend.
Right.
I'm always able.
Right.
When people don't have enablers, because I didn't have one. When people don't have enablers, it causes you to grow.
It does.
And it causes you to grow faster. And people say, man, you so mature. Well, I didn't have nobody enabling me.
Right.
You know what I mean? That enable stuff, it causes you not grow as fast. So when you said that, I said, man, I hope people are listening to this.
Well, I hope females are really listening, because you have to be careful meeting a man that is been in an enabled state. Because, he might be just looking for another mother. And that's a dangerous thing. When a man is running around looking for the comfort of, nice breasts and comfort and rub and lay your head and relax and stuff like that. Yeah, and when he's looking for that comfort more than the firmness of a chest and the abrasion of another man that can hold him accountable and get in his face a little bit, and he gets cut, you clean up the cut and keep on moving. Sometimes we don't need all that cushy comfort, rub my head.
Not a man.
No, you don't. And it's careful. A woman will be exhausted trying to fill in the voids of a man's life if she doesn't allow him to be able to grow up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking to people that are not married yet now. So just be careful of that.
Yeah.
It's cute and fun to be caring for them and doing all that stuff in the beginning. But, tie the knot in a long-term relationship, that gets old quick.
Yeah.
And we're hard on the men because we're men.
Of course.
Right?
Hey.
We're men, and we're hard on the men. And, ladies know their areas they're lack. But there's a lot of guys that don't have, but there are a lot that are listening. I don't know if you get it. I got guys coming to me, I just need guidance.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, see, I'm hard on men because I hold men in high regard, because I feel like if you're supposed to be the head over something, that means your head need to be right. And so I really believe that the covering, and I feel like men, we're losing our respect in society because women are more responsible than us a lot of times. And I'm tired of seeing it. And especially we use the excuse, I'm just in my 20s. So what? Right. The people who changed the world, Martin Luther King was in his 20s.
Right.
When he changed, Martin Luther King was in his 20s when he changed the world. Like the people that, when you start studying history, these were people in their 20s who were revolutionaries.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of times we he just young. Well, he ain't gonna be young forever.
That's right.
He ain't gonna be in his 20s forever. He ain't gonna be in his 30s forever.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You're gonna grow up. And so it's important what happens, you start now. And so I feel like, man, we have to have more men like you who are examples to younger brothers like me, who are people we consider as real men, who are holding it down, who are responsible, who have not perfect, who have weight. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think you do yourself as a disservice as a man, especially as a married man. You expecting, especially if you know scripture, you expecting somebody to submit to you. You know what I mean? You you're expecting somebody to submit to you, but you still got enablers out there.
Right. Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree. We have a heavy responsibility as a man. And with freedom comes responsibility. And you say it's free, I want to be the leader, but it also comes with responsibility. Yeah. All right.
Hey. Next episode, y'all tune in. I hope you had a great time with Pastor Hill. His church is located at
2200 North Bryant.
And it's Church of Blaze. Awesome family man, a man who I can attest to that has great faith in the Lord, and he's real about what he preaches about. And his family life is key in his life. All right, God bless y'all until the next episode.
God bless.
Hey everybody, Marquise Miller, pastor here at Reach Out Ministries. I want to personally invite your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, whoever it is, your knuckleheaded brother. I want you to get him to come with me. We're kicking off something in March called March Madness, which I'm a basketball fan, I'm a baller, I'm a hooper, everybody knows that. So we're kicking off something called Money Madness in March. All right, it's called Money Madness. I want you to invite, and I'm doing something in particular, especially for the men. Every first Monday, that's right, put in your calendar, and every last Monday of the month in March, I will begin a series for men only. Women, we ain't forgot about y'all, don't worry. But for men only, it will be here at the church, the first and last Monday of every month, start in March. I want to take 30 men, and I want to help them with real steps to build financial wellness for them and their family so they can leave a legacy for their kids, like the Bible says. It says a wise man leaves a legacy for his kids, and I want us to leave not only just a spiritual legacy, but we want to leave a financial legacy as well. So once you invite your nephew, you got a brother, you got a cousin, invite them on out to be a part of this financial literacy class. This is going to change their lives. We're going to deal with issues with credit, on how to leverage your credit, why credit is so important, how to get stuff off of your credit, or we're going to deal with leveraging, how to deal with equity. We're going to deal with these issues and more. I want you to be, and it's free. That's right. Free 99, because I believe it's part of my calling. My degree is in finance. I believe it's in part of my calling to help people get their finances in order. I hope to see you there. You can go sign up on reachoutok.org, because I'm just taking the first 30 men, and this will last for 3 months. It's 2 sessions per month, the first and last. All right, God bless you. Once you invite somebody, hope to see you there. Do me a favor, come out and meet me at Reach Out Ministries, where we take Christ to the people.